Okay, the Juki tl2200qvp long arm has an 18 by 10 inch stroke depth. It's going to have adjustable handlebars that can be moved by loosening or tightening the bolts or by tightening these little knobs here. The machine will run at up to 2,200 stitches a minute, which is really plenty for good stitch regulation. Speaking of running, the motor itself is a direct drive motor. There's no belts inside here, so the motor itself is attached to the arm shaft. We have various modes on the screen here for different stitch control modes. So we have the cruise mode, which allows the machine to run at a minimum of 15% in this case, or 20, whatever you choose. So that means every time you stop sewing, the machine will continue running to give you a little pointier points and things like that. It helps tie things in. I find that it's also nice for people who are just beginning to quilt. It gives them a little more stability in their work. We have a cut thread option, which will cut your top and bottom threads. You don't have to use that. A lot of people like to pull up their threads and snip them. Certainly that's something you can use. We have the precise mode in stitch regulation, which basically means when you stop sewing or stop moving, the machine stops sewing. So that also works quite well. Start and stop buttons right here, needle up and needle down is on the other side. So again, very easy to control. You have a basting mode so that when you want to baste your quilt layers together, you can use the long basting stitch, or you can choose a different size like medium, or you can, of course, use the small basting stitch size. Again, cut your threads if you like. If you want to run your machine at a consistent speed, for example 70%, this is for folks that don't really want a stitch regulator. Well, you can run it in that mode, definitely, and you can, of course, choose various speeds. You can go faster or slower quite easily. Cut the threads. We also have an auto cut thread option for designs that don't quite attach to each other. A good example of this is doing letters. So let's start back actually in the precise mode. So I'll come up here, do the letter A, stop, auto cut. B, as soon as I stop, auto cut. C, and so on and so forth. So that's a really nice feature, I think. We have an auxiliary hand wheel here, so we don't have to reach all the way across the machine. The screen itself, you see it's nicely attached to these handles in the front. There is a separate set of handles that can be placed in the back of the machine. To keep the cost of those down, you can actually remove this screen and place it on the handles in the back. Now the frame itself is a steel construction. We have this heavy-duty tubular steel frame, made in USA. Many fewer components to assemble, so it's very easy to assemble. For example, this whole chunk here comes out of the box basically like that. Makes it much sturdier. The rails themselves are also steel rails, so you're not going to get any flexing or bowing in that. We have this dummy bar, which does not wrap the fabric. Instead, we wrap the fabric up here. Meaning, if we wrap the fabric here, as this would grow, we would have to adjust this bar up and down. Since the fabric's wrapping up top here, we don't have to adjust it ever. Basically, you set your frame up, and that's the configuration it's going to stay in. To wrap your quilt, basically, you crank the quilt using the cranking lever right there. We have an automatic bobbin winder, so you just push the little winder over and it'll begin spinning, and it'll wind your bobbins whether you're sewing or not. We have high capacity bobbins, M-class bobbins. You know, that's the standard in your best long arms available. You're going to have the larger bobbins, so you don't have to adjust things nearly as frequently as far as the bobbins go. Winding bobbins. Tensions are absolutely stable on this. Have found that I don't have to adjust the tensions on the bobbins or the top at all. Just has been absolutely wonderful, no matter if I change fabric, change thread, or anything like that. If you have any questions on this, give us a call at 717-263-5606.